The vast, star-studded expanse of the galaxy was usually a place of wonder for the Lyrans. But now it was nothing more than a deadly battlefield. Their ships, once symbols of peace and unity, were now battered, limping vessels trying to escape a relentless enemy. Behind them, the glow of explosions marked where their home system used to be, now a distant memory swallowed by fire and destruction. For generations, the Lyrans had been known as one of the most vulnerable races in the galaxy. While other civilizations thrived with powerful weapons and impressive technology, the Lyrans prided themselves on art, science, and peaceful progress. But in a galaxy ruled by strength, peace had become their downfall. Larger, stronger alien empires saw the Lyrans as weak and easy to push around. When their enemies came, armed with mighty fleets and advanced weaponry, the Lyrans had no choice but to flee. As they flew across space, a sense of hopelessness crept over the Lyran ships. Their people were tired, hungry, and afraid. The leaders knew they had to act fast before their enemies caught up. But where could they go? Every time they'd asked for help from other races, the answer was always the same: a cold rejection, a closed door. No one wanted to risk their own safety for a race as worthless as the Lyrans. They were truly alone, or so it seemed. In the main ship's command center, High Commander Iza looked at the vast emptiness of space stretching out before her. She had led her people with all the courage she could muster, but even she was starting to feel the weight of despair. Her face, though calm, revealed the tension of the past days, the sleepless nights, the endless search for safety. Her crew worked silently around her, their eyes heavy with exhaustion and fear. Suddenly, one of the younger officers turned to her, his voice shaky. "Commander Iza, there's one more option, but it's a long shot." Iza looked at him, a spark of curiosity and hope igniting in her tired eyes. "What option?" The officer took a deep breath. "Humans. The race from the Sol system. I know they're not very advanced compared to the rest of the galaxy, and they don't have a huge reputation, but I've heard stories that they sometimes help those in need. Maybe, just maybe, they'd help us." The mention of humans sparked murmurs among the crew. The galaxy viewed humans as underdogs, stubborn, resilient, but largely insignificant. Most powerful races paid them little attention, seeing them as small players in a vast, complex universe. But the idea lingered in the room. Could humanity, a species as often underestimated as the Lyrans, truly be their last hope? Commander Iza weighed the idea. It felt desperate, perhaps even foolish. But then what other options did they have? They'd exhausted every other possibility. Every other door had been shut in their faces. Her people were depending on her, and this was their last chance. Taking a deep breath, she gave the command. "Send a message. Broadcast on all frequencies in the direction of the Sol system. Make it clear that we need help and that we have nowhere else to turn. Maybe, just maybe, the humans will hear us." The crew sprang into action, their hands moving quickly over controls as they prepared the broadcast. Iza felt her heart pounding as she prepared to speak, knowing that this message could decide the fate of her people. After a brief pause, she spoke into the communicator, her voice steady but filled with the weight of her desperation. "This is High Commander Iza of the Lyran people," she began, her voice echoing through the silent command center. "If you can hear us, please, we are in desperate need of help. We are hunted, rejected, with nowhere else to go. We ask for your mercy and aid. Humanity, please, you are our last hope." As the message transmitted across the vast distance of space, the crew sat in silence. The weight of uncertainty hung thick in the air. Would humans, a species often overlooked and underestimated, actually answer their call? Or would they, like everyone else, ignore a race as weak as the Lyrans? In the cold silence of space, they waited. Iza's heart pounded as every second stretched on. She knew that somewhere out there, in a small star system on the edge of the galaxy, their message was traveling across the void, carrying the desperate hope of an entire people. And all they could do now was wait and pray that the humans would be different. When humanity intercepted the Lyran's distress message, a heated debate broke out among Earth's leaders. On one hand, some argued that humanity had its own problems to worry about. The galaxy was full of powerful empires with advanced technology and huge armies. If Earth welcomed the Lyrans, it could draw unwanted attention, and they might face retaliation from much stronger enemies. "It's too risky," one advisor warned during the council meeting. "We're barely holding our own in the galaxy as it is. Helping a weak race like the Lyrans will only make us a target. But not everyone agreed. Captain Andros, a respected officer with a reputation for bravery, felt a strong urge to help. He saw something in the Lyrans' plea, a reflection of humanity's own journey. Earth wasn't the most advanced planet, and humans had been underestimated by other species many times before. Captain Andros believed that rejecting the Lyrans, who were now facing the same fate, would go against everything humanity stood for. These people came to us in their darkest hour, he argued passionately. They could have gone to anyone, but they chose us. They trusted us to show mercy. If we turn them away now, what kind of message does that send about humanity? After long discussions, Earth's leaders reached a compromise. They would welcome the Lyrans on a trial basis. Humanity would give them shelter, but they would watch carefully to see if helping them was truly wise. When the first Lyran delegation arrived on Earth, they stepped out of their ships in awe. For the first time, they saw hope and kindness in the faces of another species. The Lyrans had always been treated as lesser by the galaxy's stronger races, so the warm welcome from humanity was unlike anything they had ever experienced. They marveled at Earth's cities, built with determination and resilience despite humanity's lack of advanced technology. As the humans and Lyrans began to talk and work together, a bridge of understanding started to form. The Lyrans began to realize that Earth's strength wasn't in its weapons or technology, but in its courage and empathy. For the humans, helping the Lyrans became more than just a strategic move. It became a chance to show the galaxy what humanity was truly capable of. As the days passed, both humans and Lyrans understood that their alliance would soon be tested. The empires that had rejected and hunted the Lyrans would eventually discover their whereabouts. Earth was now sheltering a vulnerable race, which made it a target. Humanity knew that they had to prepare for the worst, and quickly. In the spirit of mutual survival, the humans and Lyrans began exchanging their technology and knowledge. Humanity, though not the most advanced, had developed impressive cloaking devices, advanced AI-powered drones, and sturdy robotics designed to protect Earth's borders. When the Lyrans saw the stealth capabilities of the human cloaking devices, they were amazed. These devices could hide entire fleets, creating a surprise advantage that even stronger empires might not expect. In return, the Lyrans shared their advanced shield technology. Their shields were unique, able to absorb and disperse energy from powerful blasts, something that humanity had long struggled to achieve. With this technology, Earth's ships and cities could withstand attacks that might otherwise overwhelm them. For the first time, both races felt a sense of security and power that had been missing for so long. But the alliance went beyond technology. Soldiers from both species worked side by side, learning each other's combat techniques, cultures, and values. The Lyrans, once isolated and oppressed, were deeply touched by humanity's spirit of unity and resilience. Earth soldiers were eager to learn, adapting quickly and treating their new allies with respect. It was a partnership built on survival, but also on respect and friendship. Captain Andros and High Commander Asa, the Lyran leader, formed a particularly close connection. They often met after long training days, sharing stories of their people's struggles and hopes. Asa opened up about the brutal treatment her people had endured, the raids on their planets, the scorn they faced, and the betrayal from once friendly races. Andros listened, understanding her pain as humanity, too, had often been seen as weak. Together they worked tirelessly, training and strategizing, knowing that any day could bring the enemy to their doorstep. Through shared hardship, a bond was forming between the humans and Lyrans. This wasn't just about survival anymore. It was about standing together, refusing to let injustice win. The Lyrans, who had once been rejected, now felt a glimmer of hope, inspired by humanity's courage and strength. And as Earth and Lyran soldiers trained under the same banner, they knew they would be ready for whatever came next. Just as the Lyrans began to feel the comfort of safety on Earth, their worst fears came true. Early one morning, the sky lit up with flashes of bright light. Alarms blared, and screens across Earth's defense bases displayed an ominous sight. A fleet of hostile warships had arrived, positioning themselves for an all-out assault. It was clear that the empires who once rejected the Lyrans were here to finish what they had started. Without warning, the enemy fleet began an orbital bombardment. Massive beams of energy shot down from above, slicing through the atmosphere with terrifying intensity. Buildings and landscapes shook as the blast struck Earth's defenses. The night sky was filled with a chaotic light show, casting eerie shadows across the planet as explosions bloomed in the dark like deadly fireworks. The sheer power and scale of the attack were overwhelming, but humanity and the Lyrans had prepared for this moment. In response, human and Lyran ships, cloaked and ready, launched into the fray. With their cloaking devices activated, they moved like shadows, darting between enemy vessels and striking when least expected. Pilots weaved skillfully through the onslaught, dodging the brutal energy beams while coordinating their counterattacks. The sky was a chaotic dance of light and shadow, and the entire battlefield became a vivid, intense scene of survival and bravery. Down on the ground, the situation was just as dire. Enemy forces had managed to land troops, and soon, Earth and Lyran soldiers found themselves in fierce close-quarters combat. The fighting was brutal and personal. Humans and Lyrans, standing shoulder to shoulder, fought with everything they had, determined not to let the enemy break their alliance. In the midst of the chaos, Captain Andros and his team faced their own heartbreaking losses. Andros's close friend, Lieutenant Marco, who had fought bravely since the beginning, was hit during an intense firefight. As Marco fell, Andros felt the weight of loss crash over him, a reminder of what they were fighting for and what they stood to lose. The Lyrans, too, lost comrades, warriors who had trusted in humanity's promise to protect them. These sacrifices deepened the bond between the humans and Lyrans. Each loss brought a new determination to keep fighting, to honor those who had fallen. Together they pressed on, their resolve growing stronger with every second. They weren't just defending Earth. They were fighting for the right to exist and live in peace, side by side. And though the battle was far from over, they knew that as long as they stood together, they still had hope. Against all odds, humanity and the Lyrans stood victorious. What started as a desperate defense had turned into a decisive triumph. They had done the impossible. Two races, one once considered weak and the other underestimated, had taken down one of the galaxy's strongest empires. In the aftermath, the battlefield was eerily quiet, a stark contrast to the chaos of just hours before. Soldiers from both sides looked around, hardly believing they'd survived. Humanity and the Lyrans had proven that unity and resilience could overcome even the most advanced enemies. The victory sent shockwaves across the galaxy. News of the battle spread quickly, reaching planets where other oppressed races had lived in fear of the powerful empires for years. For too long, these races had suffered in silence, convinced they had no chance against the mighty forces that ruled the stars. But now, humanity and the Lyrans had shown them another way, a way to fight back. Slowly but surely, a movement began to rise. Inspired by the courage and compassion shown by humans and the resilience of the Lyrans, other races started to rally together. They saw hope in this unlikely alliance, a spark that could ignite a broader resistance against oppression. Messages poured into Earth and the Lyran territories from distant planets, pledging support and solidarity. The galaxy was beginning to change, and humanity was at the heart of it. For the Lyrans, this victory was especially meaningful. Once rejected and dismissed as weak, they were now standing strong as partners with humanity. Their leaders and warriors looked to the future with newfound confidence, knowing they were no longer alone. And at the center of this alliance, Captain Andros and Commander Isa forged a close partnership, united by their shared trials and victories. Together, they envisioned a future where their races would stand side by side, defending the helpless and challenging oppression wherever it appeared. Humanity, too, was transformed by this battle. Their compassion and bravery had become the stuff of legend, talked about in hushed tones across the galaxy. What started as an act of kindness had grown into something much larger, a powerful alliance that inspired hope. Earth had proven that strength wasn't always about technology or firepower. Sometimes it was about the courage to stand up for what was right, even when the odds were stacked against you. In the end, humanity and the Lyrans emerged as symbols of hope, proving that even the weak could become heroes. And as they looked toward the stars, they knew their alliance was only the beginning of a brighter, more just galaxy.